Welcome to Herbalism Uncensored, the podcast where we dig deep into the world of herbalism and natural healing. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Lila. We're two clinical herbalists who recognize the need for honest and authentic conversations about the state of natural healing today. As practitioners, we feel called to have uncensored discussions about why people aren't finding relief and what to do about it.
If you're frustrated by lack of results, overwhelmed by conflicting advice online, disillusioned by the commercialization of wellness, or simply passionate about natural healing, you're in the right place.
This podcast is our way of cutting through the noise, busting myths, and challenging marketing gimmicks.
This is Herbalism Uncensored,
where together we're nurturing the future of natural healing.
The contents of this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be a substitute in any way for professional medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. It's important that you always seek the advice of your physician or other licensed healthcare provider with any questions or concerns you may have regarding a medical condition. So we've taken our mind herbs and we are ready for this week's episode where we talk about what we keep in our medicine cabinets.
I would venture to say that our medicine cabinets look quite different than the average.
So I'm thinking about when I was growing up, if you opened up the medicine cabinet in the bathroom, there was Tums and Pepto-Bismol and aspirin and ibuprofen, maybe some Aleve, maybe some Imodium AD, what else? Sudafed, Robitussin, Theraflu. These are the average things in the average American's medicine cabinet, I believe.
You're probably right. And I grew up with a couple of those things, but our medicine cabinet was always like, go to the herbs and supplements. And through adulthood, I have maintained that. And I work with clients and they're like, oh, I take antacids for my heartburn and ibuprofen every day. And I'm like so insulated from these things now that I'm like, wait, what? What are people doing out there in the world? I thought we were all on the same page, no?
Yeah, it is easy to think that everybody's got a medicine cabinet full of herbs. As a matter of interest, what was in your medicine cabinet growing up?
A lot of echinacea, golden seal, wellness formula, and codfish liver oil, and all the vitamins. Like there's always vitamin B and C and E and all the things. Probiotics were always around, minerals. It was like head to toe cranberry, like all the random things. Like it was a very Western focused herb assortment. You go to the natural health food store, which is where we would spend many hours as children, and some homeopathic. I can never decide if I'm going to say homeopathic or homeopathy. The homeopathic things, arnica for the bruises externally, all kinds of goodies.
Well, and that's true because we also had arnica and all the vitamins and the probiotics. But I feel like the centerpiece was the Tums and the Pepto-Bismol and the ibuprofen.
Did you ever take like the airborne or the emergency C drinks? I feel like those were like the go-to.
It's so funny. My grandmother and her twin sister were big fans of the emergency when, it first came out like in the 90s. It was a new thing. And they both misread the label and called it Energizer C. Let me get my Energizer C, sister. I need some Energizer C.
That's cute. That's cute. Yeah, those were like health staples when I was a child. And now looking at those things now, reading the ingredients, I was like, what were we doing, guys?
Yeah, I won't drink them. They're filled with things that I don't put in my body, but like citric acid, and I feel like there's some preservatives in there that I don't like. But my grandmother still has like a canister in her kitchen that most people would put coffee or sugar in that's full of her favorite flavor of Energizer C.
That's amazing. I love that. I was so excited when this episode was Alicia's idea, and I was like so excited when you proposed it because we're going to talk about some of our favorite goodies that we have on hand in our medicine cabinets for acute things that come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and it was funny because I was coming down with like a cold flu type illness as I came up with this idea. And these are the things that I keep around my house in case I start to get sick or the digestive system's acting up or I can't sleep or there's some kind of a fungal infection. That was another thing we always had around, it was Lotrimin or something for foot fungus, yeast infections, right? These are things that you need to keep around the house. And if you're not going to get your stuff from your local pharmacy, what are you going to get? And where are you going to get it?
I guess we're going to have to tell them.
Right.
Go after this episode, you're going to want to just throw everything away. Because the cool thing about, I think, upgrading to these things, the things in the traditional medicine cabinet, the bathroom cabinet, you move the mirror back and all the things, they work, but they come at a cost usually. A lot of these things have unintended side effects that we don't talk about. We think we can buy them over the counter, so they're completely safe and benign. And some of them are benign, but a lot of them do have some unwanted issues that come with them. And most of the things we're going to talk about here are going to have side benefits.
Side benefits. I like that. Oh, who's going to start?
You.
I'll go first. Okay. Well, we were talking about Lotrimin. And yeah, it kills fungus. And I guess it doesn't do a very good job because I remember my stepfather used it perpetually. So some things wasn't mathing there.
I have some thoughts. You probably need to dig a little deeper for fungal infections than a topical.
You and I know that if you've got a fungus manifesting in your feet, you probably have fungus in your gut. It starts somewhere. But anyway. So Neem, that's my number one. Neem is the first one on my list because it kills everything. It's a broad spectrum antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal. It's not the best antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal for anything, any infection, but you could throw it at just about any infection and get results. I have a tree in my backyard. I have a little neem tree about this tall. I keep the oil around. You can put the oil on topically for topical fungal infections. But my dog has a little infection in his foot right now. So he is taking neem capsules internally and I'm putting neem oil on his foot. It's great for acne, infections, any kind of inflammation. I keep it around and I'm glad that I have it around because if something comes up, if you don't know what it is, but you know it's some kind of infection, you can throw some neem at it and it will get better.
And some other things that neem does is it helps with parasites. You're right.
I forget about parasites.
Yeah. You can't forget about the parasites. It's also really great I use it in my tooth powder. So I make my own tooth powder and I always put neem in it. It's really bitter and detoxifying. You can use it before a meal as a digestive aid almost to get your digestive juices flowing because that's what the bitter taste does. So it's got so many use cases. And I love that you mentioned powder, which you'd be using neem leaf for that. But you also mentioned neem oil, which is really great. When my dog's ears get really inflamed and she gets scratchy and they get bleedy, if I put neem oil on it, it smells horrendous. So warning, but it works so well. It totally calms her ears down, stops the itching, and just it makes such a big impact on her.
I mean, it has an odor. I don't know if I would call it horrendous, but it does have a very distinct smell. And I forget, I'm glad that you mentioned your tooth powder because I use the cold pressed neem oil in my Gandusha oil. It's great for dental health. It kills everything that you don't want in your mouth.
Yes. That's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
Just caveat, if you take it internally and you take too much, you're going to have some tummy upset. Just like anything that's killing bugs can kill the good bugs, and anything that's anti-parasitic can be painful. So, use with caution, go low and slow, or work with a practitioner.
Yes.
But neem's a good thing to keep around, and the oil is amazing topically for infections.
And maybe an important note, not something you go on long term.
Yeah, not long term. Absolutely. And what was the other thing? I'm just thinking about like all of the amazing things that Neem does. It's a great topical for herpes infections and cold sores because it's an oil, right? But things like a cold sore is a hot, wet infection. And this is a cold, bitter oil. You don't want to put a hot oil on a hot infection. And it actually can relieve the discomfort of those kinds of things.
Yes.
So, what's your first one?
Okay, my first one. I was afraid you were going to think I was dorky for this, but my first one is Triphala. And I brought my herbs. Thought we were doing show and tell.
They all look like herbs.
Bags with powders that I know. And now that they're all sitting here, I'm like, they're all just, like you said, they're all just a bunch of powders. Okay, so Triphala it's actually 3 herbs mixed together. This is a very foundational Ayurvedic formula, and it does a little bit of everything. I wrote down Swiss Army knife on it because it's just like it does so many things. So first of all, you can take it in small maintenance doses for life, and it's going to do a little bit of detoxifying in your body, a little bit of building in your body. It's going to support every tissue and organ in some way, shape, or form. It has digestive benefits. If you bump up your dose, it's a mild laxative. So already it's just like, I don't want to say like the daily vitamin of herbs, but it's something similar in just the fact that it's very mildly supportive to a bunch of things. And it can balance out other herbs you're taking in a really nice way just because it's so energetically balanced. The other thing is you can use it as an eye wash if you're having eye inflammation or eye problems. You can put it in your neti pot as you are doing your neti pot. You can use it for dry massage if you have skin issues or you can't do abhyanga. Like, it is going to be really helpful for that. You can use it for enemas and yoni basti. So you can also use it for some vaginal cleansing.
Okay, we got Yoni Basti. It's a douche.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you know. I remember our listeners.
I don't know. I thought you were telling me. I'm like, okay, I forget them. Sorry.
No, I know you know what a Yoni Basti is. I just think probably at least 90% of our listeners have no idea what Yoni Basti means.
You mean people don't? Okay, yeah, people don't have these herbs in their cabinets and use yoni basti. See, I live in my own little world, Alicia. Thank you. You can also use it as a throat gargle. So it's astringent. It's going to be a little antimicrobial, not anything near the neem, but it's going to kill things and clean things up in your mouth. If you're dealing with a lot of congestion, it can help. It just does a little bit of everything.
I love Triphala. I absolutely love it. And the 3 fruits that are in it, so that everybody knows, are Bibitaki, Haritaki, and Amla. And each one of them is specific for one of the 3 doshas in Ayurveda. So it's a totally balancing formula. I've been taking it for years. And if I ever stop taking it, it's because I focus on one of those 3 ingredients instead of taking all 3. But no, it's just absolutely fabulous. And it would have been on my list, but I saw it on yours.
Perfect.
The one thing that I will say, I don't, have you ever tried the cold decoction overnight? So this is, if you have congestion, this is one of the great things to do with Triphala is you put like a tablespoon of it in a glass of water next to your bed, let it sit overnight. Overnight, it will make a cold infusion. And in the morning, when you get up first thing, drink that water. And it will help to clear all of the congestion. And it really, I have done that a couple of times. I forgot about it. I just remembered as you mentioned it. It works so well.
That's so cool. I don't know if you remember our mentor saying, if you did nothing else but cleaned up your diet and took Triphala every day, in 10 years, all your problems would be gone.
I don't remember him saying that, but I remember years ago, it was like 10 years ago, he said that in 40 years of practice and going to assemblies and seminars and conventions, that the 2 things he had heard over and over again, people that he'd never met walked up to him at a convention and said, I have been doing Abhyanga and taking Triphala because I heard you talk about it and it changed my life. And he said that if you only did two things, it would be Abhyanga and take Triphala and do that, and it will change your life.
Yes. Because like we said earlier, it does a little bit of everything, and it's really mild and gentle, but over time, that adds up, and that's why a lot of people take it in really small doses for life every day. There's no reason not to.
So safe enough to give to children, safe enough to give to the elderly. So it's super gentle and amazing. I love it.
It's a good one. All right, what's your next?
Licorice.
That's such a good one.
Licorice root. I take the powder. You can make a tea out of it, but it's very, very sweet. And basically, anything that a doctor would prescribe a steroid for, I will take licorice. So whether it's breathing issues, difficulty breathing, skin inflammation, throat inflammation, inflammation in general, I take the licorice, and you feel better taking the licorice pretty quickly. And it's a powerful harmonizer. I think that's what in traditional Chinese medicine, they call it the great harmonizer. It's sweet, it's demulcent, it'll slime up your insides. So, like digestive issues, colon inflammation, the licorice root helps. Like basically any inflammatory issue that you have that's acute and you want relief now, the licorice will help. It's not something you want to take long term. It's an acute remedy, but I use it like prednisone.
I'm gonna piggyback on that and say it's also really good for like heartburn or GERD or acid reflux. If that's
Mhm.
one thing that if you need something acutely, licorice will help with that without the side effects of the things that the antacids will do by blocking the stomach acid production. This works through different mechanisms, fixes the problem, doesn't have the side effects, and works really well. I recommend it all the time to clients, usually in the chewable tablet form. But if you just make the licorice tea or take the powder, you're going to get the same results. And it is, like I said, way better than the other things that are probably in most people's medicine cabinets.
Yeah. Well, it prevents the breakdown of cortisol into its inactive form. So it enhances anti-inflammatory, immunomodulatory, and sodium retaining effects of cortisol. So it's got flavonoids with antioxidant and estrogenic activity. So your body takes it and is like, oh, we know what to do with this.
Yeah.
We're gonna, yeah.
And it's an adrenal tonic.
And it's an adrenal tonic. So it's like a great thing if you're coming off of cigarettes or coming off of coffee to support, or you're adrenal fatigue, to support your body in its ability to maintain stamina. And it works quickly. So I love licorice root. It's my Energizer C, girl. It's been in a canister on my counter in my kitchen. There has been licorice for 10 years.
I love that. Your Energizer C.
It's my Energizer C.
Okay. My next one is Sitopoladi powder. This is also a formula. There was no rules that they had to be single herbs, but this is also a formula. And it is the cough syrup of Ayurveda. But it's in a powder form. So you either have to add it to some water and make it into syrup, or what Alicia and I like to do is just spoon it into our mouths and try not to breathe in, because then you're going to cough and feel it. But it basically liquefies mucus and helps you to expectorate it very easily. So if you are congested, whether it's a cough or a flu coming on, it's going to help clear things out. It's also really warming, and it's going to help open the exterior and help move heat through your body. It's tasty because there's some sweetness in it, and it's got a lot of kitchen herbs people are familiar with. It's not weird or foreign. It's comforting, and it's got the bamboo mana in it, which really helps to suppress coughing. So I use it if I have a cough, or we talked about it in our spring episode for that congestion, transitioning between winter and spring and trying to get the gunk out. It just does a really good job with all those things. And I just think it's so cool. When I learned about it, it was like I ran out and bought it back in the day, and it's handy to have on hand. I just think it's so amusing that it's like powdered cough syrup.
Oh, I love it. It tastes like cinnamon rolls, y'all. It does. That's what mine tastes like, cinnamon rolls. Does yours taste like cinnamon rolls? That's what I think of.
It's probably not quite how I'd describe it, but it's a lot better tasting than most of the things I put in my mouth.
I think it's delicious. But yeah, fair warning, if you just put a spoonful of Sitopoladi in your mouth, like you're gonna feel like you did the cinnamon challenge. I think that this is another talk about living in an echo chamber in a bubble. We put a lot of powder in our mouth. I'm very well practiced at putting a tablespoon of powder in my mouth and not breathing in while I put some water in my mouth and swish it up and drink it down. But the Sitopoladi, mine is very finely powdered. So it's easy to inhale some cinnamon powder, which, you haven't lived until you've inhaled some cinnamon powder.
Right.
But the Sitopoladi is, yeah, definitely one of my staples and go-tos.
I didn't put this together, but there is cinnamon in the formula, which is probably the fine thing that we're huffing, and it literally is doing the cinnamon challenge with some added friends present.
Yeah, it's like the cinnamon cardamom challenge.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. If y'all want to challenge yourselves and record it and send it, tag our channel, like we'll bring back the trend from that was like early high school days for me, the cinnamon challenge situation. It's like early before the internet was what it is today.
Is that yeah, the Sitopoladi challenge. We should start like I'm doing it. I
We
will
have to
actually
bring that.
I will post on my Instagram the Sitopoladi challenge.
I love it.
Tag a
That's
friend.
great. Yes. All right. What's next?
Okay, so we're in cold remedies, I guess, because mine is Yin Chao San. This is a traditional Chinese formula for early stage colds and flus. This is what I took when I had COVID-19. It's great for sore throats, fevers, and what they call wind heat symptoms. It has honeysuckle and forsythia in it. Honeysuckle has an upward moving action. It helps you sweat. And we call this release the exterior. So it's like to get the evil chi out. That's the idea, right? Like that I have Wei Qi, that's my defense, that's my immune system in traditional Chinese medicine. And the way that we get sick is that the wind comes in and it brings in evil chi. And you want to get that evil chi out before it has a chance to set in, which I love this thought process because as we talk about viruses taking hold in the system and finding a place to sit where they can replicate, I think that's the evil chi. And I want that evil chi out before it can replicate. And the honeysuckle really helps you do this. The idea is if you feel like you're getting a cold, you start taking the yin chow in the first 8 hours of symptoms, and it will help to knock it out before it sets in. But you can continue taking it. If I catch a cold, yin chow is my go-to. You can probably find it at your local Chinese pharmacy. Just have to go on a little trek to Chinatown and make friends with some pharmacists. And it's a very common traditional Chinese formula. They have it at every pharmacy. It's just a matter of whether or not they'd be willing to sell you some without a consultation with the doctor.
That's a great thing to have on hand. And it's important you have it on hand so you can catch it within that first 8 hours and knock it out quickly before it takes root. So definitely a good call. Okay. My next one, Hingvastak. If you're bloated and you have gas or meals are sitting heavy, it's Thanksgiving, you ate too much. You know you ate too much. This will help you digest the food and move it along in your system. It's beautiful. Like I said, gas, bloating, irregular bowels, things aren't moving downward like they need to. Hingvastak is super helpful. I know if I eat a meal that, maybe I know I shouldn't have, and I know it's going to sit a little heavy, I will take this alongside my meal or right after, and it just helps me digest it and not just be down for the count because that's not fun and I don't like feeling like that anymore. So it's super helpful. I capsulate it and have it in capsules, but also throw it into cooking and cook with it because it tastes good. It's a lot of Indian culinary spices and another very potent spice called hing. It's very sulfury. It's like kind of garlicky and onion tasting. It's a little intense if you smell it. I had a thing of compounded hing in the cupboard, and my roommate smelled it one time. I think she threw it out when I wasn't home because now I don't have it anymore. But it is a little on the intense side.
I actually have some straight hing, and now I want to go and get it, see how strong it is.
Do it. Yes.
Let's see. Oh my goodness. Okay, so y'all, this is in a foil bag that's sealed inside a plastic bag. And I just opened up the plastic bag and I can already smell it.
So let me just clarify the herb I am recommending. It's a formula. It's Hingvastak, and it's hing, the one Alicia is smelling, plus a bunch of other herbs that make it a lot less intense. But the one that Alicia is dealing with is this hing specifically in its purest form, and it's really intense.
I haven't opened it. Oh my goodness. I'm scared. Actually, it's in another plastic bag. Inside, there's another plastic bag. I'm not opening this one. It's really garlicky. So the way that I heard it described, this is my first time smelling straight hing. It's, get a good look at it. The way that I heard it described was that one piece of like one little granule of hing smells like a whole pot full of garlic. And I think that's about right. So, and the Hingvastak, it's 8 things, right? It's hing and other items. And one of those things is salt. So I love that you're bringing all the really tasty remedies. The Sitopoladi has sugar in it and cinnamon, delicious. And the Hingvastak has salt and cumin and black pepper and hing, which is really garlicky. It's great to cook with. And I will, like, for Thanksgiving dinner, I'll just make myself a little cup of tea with the hing. I'll put some warm hot water and put like a 1/4 teaspoon of the Hingvastak in it. And if I drink that with my meal, I'm not sitting around holding my stomach in misery afterwards like everyone else. I probably eat a little bit less than everyone else as well. But
it's okay. Sometimes we need a little extra help in the digestive area. Oh my gosh. I'm so amused by your hing being in 3 bags and still being that potent.
I don't know what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna store this.
That's like anytime I have any valerian to guard or jatamansi out, like my whole house smells like stinky feet.
That's my
Is it? Oh, spoiler alert. Get into it, and then I'll talk about how stinky it is.
We were in the cold and flu section of our medicine cabinet, and now we are in the stinky section. So valerian. And I think most people know about valerian or they've heard about it. It's widely used for insomnia, restlessness, anxiety. It has some sedating effects on the central nervous system. Studies have shown that it enhances GABA activity in the brain, which promotes relaxation. It's like a gentle herbal benzo is what I think about, like a really, really mild one. And it smells like stinky feet. So one of the things about valerian, and one of the reasons that I always keep it around, is that if I need to give my dog an herb and my dog doesn't want to take it, if I mix it with valerian, I can get my dog to eat it because it smells like a stinky gem sock. And all dogs in the world love stinky gem socks, right? I myself will take it. Sometimes I just feel like overdone. Like, stick a fork in me. I'm overcooked. I'm well done. I have just gone, if I have a long day where I'm on Zoom a lot, I do telehealth and I take classes that take place on Zoom and record podcasts on video conferencing software. And it can be a little wearing. So at the end of the day, when I'm all turned up and I need to turn it down, the valerian really helps with that so that I can relax. I can turn my brain off and I can get some rest. It's great for stress-related conditions.
I use it for my dogs when they're anxious, or if it's like firework night, or they're going to the vet, or they're dealing with something that I can tell they're just like a little bit miserable. I think it takes the edge off and is really helpful. And what's interesting is I was pretty repulsed by the smell at first. Whoa, that is potent. And I would keep it like in bags, in jars, and the smell is pervasive. But now it's to the point where the smell doesn't bother me at all. And it doesn't gross me out to take. It's very almost welcome, which is interesting as we start like doing and taking these things and these herbs in our bodies are like, oh, I actually want to like that. That does good things. That feels good. Then it's not a stinky thing anymore. It's still funky, but it's not like repulsive.
Yeah, well, it's something that I keep inside a bag, inside a bag, inside a bag so that my whole office doesn't smell like it. But it's fantastic to have around, and it's great when you're wired but tired. It's funny. I love that you and I both like give our dogs all of these things too, because if we had kids, we would be giving our children these things. And you find tips and tricks and ways to get them in. The other thing that it's great for is it can be used kind of like a muscle relaxer. That tenseness, it helps to relieve that.
Speaking of tenseness and relieving things, my next one's also a sleeper. That's funny how that order worked out, but Shankapushpi. And this might just be on my list because it's one of my favorites to say. And it's one of my favorites to hear clients say back to me. They're like, oh, I started taking that Shanka, the Shankapushpi, that I can't quite get it, but it's cute. So if I'm not sleeping, this is one of my go-to sleep herbs that I will take. I find it to be really gentle and it calms the nervous system in a really nice way. And to me, it almost feels like I'm getting like wrapped in a hug or a blanket, or there is like a warmth coating me that allows me to just fall asleep in safety, if that makes any sense. There's just something like so, I don't know, it feels like nourishing or safe or like my mom in a cup or like it's just something nice about it. But it also has benefits of calming the nervous system, of calming the mind, of helping with mental disturbances and memory and concentration and just emotional stability. So it's a really cool herb. I love it. I use it with lots of people. It's one of my actual, probably most recommended sleep related herbs. And it's just a rejuvenator, man.
I have used Shankapushpi with clients who want to taper off of anxiety medication, and it works really well. When I met you and you loved the Shankapushpi so much, I had never taken it. And so, of course, I got some and I started taking it. And I actually take a little bit every day, just a small dose. And I do feel that it kind of helps me to, I don't know, it makes me a more useful human being. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. And I don't just use it for sleep. That's a great mention is you can use it in smaller doses throughout the day just to make yourself more stable.
Yeah, more stable because I'm a little crazy.
Yeah. In the Ayurvedic text, like one thing it specifically says it treats is insanity. But it's just a really cool herb and I think it has a really fun name and it is one of my go-tos.
Lovely. Okay, so now we're back to the antimicrobial section of my medicine cabinet. It's berberine. And berberine actually isn't an herb, it is an extract. It's usually extracted these days, I think, from barberry and coptis. Yeah, berberine is also in Oregon grapefruit. It's also in golden seal. And golden seal has gotten prohibitively expensive. I used to keep golden seal, but now I keep berberine around. If you go to the natural health food section, you will find berberine in the blood sugar support section because there's been some good research that it helps to support blood sugar balance. I use it as like an herbal antibiotic. It's especially good for sinus infections and bladder infections. It kills yeast, it kills fungus. So there you go. Why wouldn't you want something around that can get rid of a sinus infection? If I get congestion in my sinuses, the first thing I do is start using my neti pot and putting oil in my nose. And if it gets worse and it doesn't get better, and the next thing I know, I'm blowing green and yellow stuff out of my nose, then I start taking the berberine. And 7 days later, it's all gone and I'm just fine. It's my augmentin.
It's your what?
It's my augmentin.
What is that?
The augmentin is a very common antibiotic.
I know nothing. I was just thinking, I have a little sister on TikTok and they call berberine nature's Ozempic. I feel like we have to call it out. because I think it's also having a little moment right now about people using it for weight loss and things like that.
Do you think it works like that?
I think it can suppress appetite and I think it can help stabilize blood sugar. I would not recommend using it for weight loss. It's not something that should be used long term. Yeah, I am not sure, but that would be like an off label use that I don't know I'd recommend.
I think the berberine is more convenient as a natural antibiotic, using it as like a way they call it a nutraceutical, than something like Oregon grape or barberry, because the dose is like a half to a third of the dose
Mhm.
because it's an extract, so it's concentrated. And we've talked a lot about the problems that could possibly arise when you use an extract as if it were a plant, because it's not a plant. I'm going to say it's a nutraceutical. And is that the right way to say it? Nutraceutical?
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm going to say it's a nutraceutical. And so, just like pharmaceuticals, it could have some side effects.
Yeah. I think use short term, maybe work with a practitioner to learn how to use it before you go off on your own, but it does a lot of really great things and it's a good staple to have. I'm listening to your list thinking like, I need to beef up my medicine cabinet, but I don't typically deal with the things that I would need it for.
Mhm.
So, but it's just good to have on hand.
I get sick less than I used to, but I still get sick. And there was a time in my life where I was sick with some kind of infection once a month and was so worn down and depleted. I don't like getting sick. And if I start to get a cold or I start to get a sinus infection, because I'm around a lot of people and my immune system, despite everything I've done to build it, just still isn't as strong as it can possibly be. And yeah, man, I like to nip things in the bud. I do not want to let things set in. So I say that it's my augmentin, right? So I can throw it at just about anything I could throw some augmentin at. But unlike the augmentin, I don't have to worry about getting a yeast infection while I'm taking it, because it's good for your gut flora, not bad for your gut flora. That's really cool.
Side benefits. Speaking of gut flora, my next one is Haritaki. You know how important it is to have bowel movement every day?
I do.
Pretty important. And I'm feeling backed up or I'm traveling. I'm very susceptible to constipation while traveling, or things just aren't operating like I need them to. I use Haritaki to help promote bowel movement and keep me regular. It is so good. It works so well. It has a very nice downward moving energy. And unlike taking some of the more harsh laxatives that can be, I'm going to say, habit forming, like Senna, which I spent many years abusing, this does not have the issues of causing or changing the way that your body naturally does peristalsis and moves things through your system because it is so gentle. So you're getting the benefits of a laxative without the side effects, and it just has a very nice downward moving energy, which means it can also help. If my period is lagging, it can help move things down and get them going. If I just feel ungrounded or full of fear. It's the destroyer of fear. I can also use it in these other really profound ways. And it's an herb I quite like with my vitiated vata these days.
Yeah, we love laxatives, and Haritaki is the gentlest. It's one of the ingredients in the Triphala. So again, gentle enough to use with the elderly, gentle enough to use with children, and won't make you atonic the way a lot of laxatives will.
Thank you. That's the word I was trying to think on the fly. And I'm like, the thing that happens when my peristalsis stops working.
So peristalsis is there's a sphincter that has to go like this. What is this word for this?
The word is peristalsis.
The word is peristalsis.
Well, as part of our digestive system, our food moves and our muscles churn and mix and move things through. And when we rely too heavily on certain laxatives, it can stop those muscles from doing their churning and their mixing and their tightening to move things through our system, which causes all kinds of issues.
It's because the muscles have to contract and relax and contract and relax and contract and relax. And that motion pushes things through. And when you take something like Senna, it forces that contraction. And then your body becomes reliant on it, where it won't contract unless it gets the Senna. And that's what we mean when we say atonic. The muscle becomes atonic. And the Haritaki doesn't do that.
Yep. It's good stuff.
Next is my Nexrutine. It's rootin' tootin', the Nexrutine. I don't know if it's Nexrutine or Nexrutine,
I
actually.
say Nexrutine just because it's funner.
Well, it's rootin' tootin', my Nexrutine. So this is philodendron bark extract. It is an anti-inflammatory compound. It's a COX-2 inhibitor. But unlike other COX-2 inhibitors, when I say COX-2 inhibitors, I'm thinking of things like ibuprofen or naproxen that can cause liver damage. Nexrutine does not cause liver damage. So I don't know if people know this. I think we've talked about this a little bit. I have 13 fused vertebrae in my spine. I have 2 metal rods in my back. My chiropractor says that I have the L5, that's my lowest spinal vertebrae, of an 85-year-old. And I do a lot of yoga and stay really fit, but sitting is hard for me. So if I have a long day where I'm sitting a lot, or if I step off of a curb the wrong way and I'm waiting to get to the chiropractor tomorrow, which doesn't happen often, but when it happens, I don't want to take ibuprofen. I have Nexrutine. I take a Nexrutine instead. And I take 2 Nexrutine tablets, and it works just like taking 4 ibuprofen. The other thing that I started to use it for is menstrual cramps. Not all the time, but oftentimes, like that first day of my cycle, I've got some cramps, and 1 or 2 Nexrutine will make it bearable, where I can go to work or I can go to sleep. So it's what I have instead of Aleve or ibuprofen in my medicine cabinet. Nexrutine.
Nature's painkiller. And that's good because anything I use for pain has a bit of I'm brewing a tea for an hour or something like that. But that one it's easy to take. The dose is low. It's a couple of pills and it's very convenient. That's a great choice.
It is. And I always look at, because it's the philodendron extract, right? So philodendron enters the kidney channel and it clears damp heat. And what is damp heat? It's pitta-style inflammation. It reduces toxins and clears heat from sores like skin infections, eczema, red inflamed lesions. So it would stand to reason that I've never tried this. I don't have skin problems, that it would help with skin inflammation as well.
Yeah, because it's just very profoundly anti-inflammatory. It's a very strong anti-inflammatory is what it is.
Yeah.
That's a great choice. Okay, so my next herb is yarrow. And I'll tell you what I use this for. I keep it in my bathroom.
I know what you use it for. Acne.
What? No! You're making a joke. Alicia's being funny because people recommend it for acne. That's just not the top choice. No, I don't use it for acne. Listen, I keep it in my bathroom. And anytime I cut myself shaving, because I use like a real straight razor, so I cut myself a lot, and it's bad when I do. I go and immediately pack it with yarrow, which is antiseptic and stops the bleeding. It acts like a styptic powder. It's very cool. So that's what I use yarrow for. Any first aid cuts or wounds, I slice my finger with a knife. I just go pack it in yarrow, cover it with some tape or a Band-Aid. Things heal up so quickly, and it's a little messy, but it works really well. The other things I've been able to use it for, not on myself, but with people, like in the family and stuff, is excessive menstrual bleeding. Like, it works as a hemostatic. It'll hold back blood. So it's been super helpful and come in handy for some people in my life in a major pinch of these debilitating excess bleeding moments. Got it shut off with yarrow, and it helps with fevers, which I don't use it for. It's really just my first aid kit in my bathroom, but it's got a lot of just general use things you can do with it.
I like that. Hey man, it's really good to keep something that's going to stop some bleeding around. Right? They have that stop bleed stuff. It's basically natural stop bleed with iodine, because it's antiseptic as well. So that's super cool. I have never used it ever. I'm just not a Western herbalist at all, I think.
I think my affinity is more for Ayurveda like you, but there's some cool ones that, I've given a shot to and they've made it in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
It might be something that I should get and keep around for. I mean, if you've got something that reduces fevers, is antiseptic, and stops bleeding, that sounds like something you want around.
It can speed up wound healing. So if you get a wound, you could, use it topically for all the things, but you could also use it internally. It's also an herb that's used often with children. So it's anti-inflammatory. It's just got like, an array of uses. It's a cool herb. I got to give Yarrow some credit.
All right, I'm gonna put it on my shopping list.
Can do it. I will tell you, when I started studying herbalism, I went out and bought like so many Western herbs. And just even throughout my life, I buy herbs and have them. And I find it so hard to get myself to use the Western herbs for some reason. But when I use, Ayurvedic herbs or even Chinese herbs, like I take them, I use them, I utilize them. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I have so many pounds of St. John's wort in my closet.
I'm gonna make oil or tincture. I have St. John's wort too. Not to go off on a tangent, but I feel the same way. And I think that the thing is, it's much, much newer by thousands of years than the other two systems. And so I'm never really quite sure, or not, I won't say never, but oftentimes I'm just not quite sure how much I'm supposed to use when I'm
I
taking
agree.
when using it internally.
I agree. I find dosing a lot more challenging with Western herbs. The other thing that I think is really challenging for me is we practice energetically. Western herbs are more designed to treat symptomatically. Like we've done symptomatic research on them. We know we can use this for that, but we don't understand when I take yarrow, what are the properties? I can assume it's bitter, astringent, heating, whatever, but like we don't know because we don't have the like system to use the Western herbs in. And Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine have a beautiful diagnostic system to use the herbs within that makes way more sense than Western herbalism.
Yeah, I like the classification better. With that being said, my next herb is a Western herb.
Ooh.
Nettles, and specifically freeze-dried nettles. Like, this is something that I don't ever want to not have in my refrigerator. I keep it refrigerated because it lasts longer when you buy the freeze-dried kind. So freeze-dried, it's super concentrated and it will lose potency if it's at room temperature or exposed to oxygen. So it just keeps longer there. And I use it for seasonal allergies and allergic reactions. I don't know if this has come up, but I introduce myself in restaurants to the server. I say, "Hi, I'm weird allergy girl." So I give you a moment to get ready for that before I order. And I don't go out often because I'm allergic to I have allergic reactions to so many different things. And I very rarely will have any kind of burning skin. But if I do, or I break out into hives, no one wants to have hives. And I can take freeze dried nettles, and I've got the dose just about right. For me, it's like a tablespoon of the freeze dried powder. I put that in my mouth, I swallow it, and about 15 minutes later, the inflammation on my skin is gone. I no longer have hives. I'm no longer itching. I'm no longer in pain. So nettles are super awesome. It only works like that. It's freeze dried. It has a lot of really awesome other awesome benefits, and it's great constituents. It's high in iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, vitamins A, C, K, B complex, chlorophyll. It's rich in anti-inflammatory flavonoids. It's good for the urinary system. Personally, that's not how I use it at all. I only use it freeze dried. I always have it around. And if anything is bothering me allergy wise, whether it's sneezing, runny nose, itchy eyes, or hives, if I get enough freeze dried nettles in, I feel better very quickly.
I'm so glad that freeze dried stinging nettles was on your list because I totally forgot about it. And it's such a good option. I use it for, I get some mild seasonal allergies, shuts them right off. Or I have like a mild allergy to cats. And I can, if I know I'm going to go be around a cat or I'm just coming back from being around a cat, like I can use it and shut it off. Or if somebody comes and visits me and they don't do well with dogs, so they have allergies, I have freeze dried stinging nettle on hand. And I'm like, oh, what is that? And it's very like, it's benign, it's safe, it's easy to use. It's just a really cool, it's our Benadryl. It's the Benadryl of herbs.
It is. Doesn't make you drowsy, or it's the Zyrtec of herbs, but it is not dependency forming.
It works like unbelievably well. And I use capsules. So that's why I was like eyebrow raising, because you keep it in your fridge, and then I realized you have a powder. So that totally makes sense. I usually buy it in capsules. It's probably more cost effective to get it in powder.
It's much more
Something to be
economical.
considering.
Yeah, much more economical. And you talk about, I mean, you're the kind of person who has like mild seasonal allergies. My allergies are not mild. I'm allergic to everything. And I never know. I could just like, I'm the kind of person that could go to a yoga class and come home in a horrible allergic reaction, because who knows? So I take the powder, I take it in high doses, and I buy it in powder form because I can get more in and it's more economical.
Yeah. I love how on the same page we are, because nettles are another like Western darling, and they're really popular in Western herbalism. And I very rarely, if ever, use them like in a formula or with a client. I will drink nettle tea because it's yummy and, like just some added nutrient. And it's cute. Maybe if somebody had some specific urinary things, I might bring it in. But it's not on my radar as one of my, it's not on my A list. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's on my A list for allergies.
Yes.
That's the only time I've ever used it. It went through a really popular period about 5 years ago. I think it was like right around like 2020, 2021. It was very popular and everybody was drinking nettle tea. Do you remember that?
Was it part of like the nourishing infusions movement? I don't know if you follow anyone in the herb sphere, but everyone got like real big on nourishing infusions, and you're like everyone like started cold brewing certain teas for just nourishment, and nettle was one of them.
I remember. So I'm like not in the healthcare space or the wellness space on social media. Yeah,
You're not missing out.
for my mental health, I am not there very often. But you'll remember, because you consulted on this case, I had a client with fatty lipomas who was carnivore. Before he was carnivore, he was very into a lot of different herbal trends, and he was big on the nettles. He was drinking like a gallon of nettle tea every day.
I would just be peeing a lot, I think.
Yeah, I think it kind of dried him out a little bit. Word to the wise, everyone. If you're drinking something that makes you urinate a lot, drink some water in between or it's going to dry you out.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about nettle seeds, because I think that's like a hidden gem, but that's a topic for another day. But yeah, nettles are cool plants. I have the last herb, don't I?
Yeah, you have the last one.
Okay. I'm actually really excited for this one. And I'm going to say I use this acutely for my mental health. So my last pick is Bacopa. And I use this for helping me with memory, concentration, cloudy brain, foggy thinking. If I just don't feel clear, I started pairing it with meditation and some deeper self work. And it really helps to knock the dust and cobwebs loose in the brain, and it literally clears the channels of our mind. And so I've been including this minder. I think it's something you can bring in specifically if you're feeling, a little extra foggy, or you have a big test, or you're doing a lot of studying, or a big work project. But it's also really good just, I don't know, in the grand scheme of things, and to help support your brain and your mind. And I will say, like, I started taking it, and it was a while ago, and it was noticeable. Like, I was like, memories from my childhood that I haven't thought of in years were popping up, and like, what's happening? And I almost want to say it was like akin a little bit to like a psychedelic experience for me. If you've done psychedelics, like your thought patterns start to change and get sorted different, and things start happening different in the brain. It's similar to that for me.
I'm not surprised to hear that at all, because it inhibits beta amyloid aggregation, which is linked to Alzheimer's. Like, it reduces oxidative stress and neuroinflammation, and it stimulates neurite outgrowth, like brain regeneration. It increases your neuroplasticity. Just like all those fun mushrooms that everybody likes to talk about. Or I call it Brahmi. That's its common name, which is derived from Brahman, the universal consciousness. And I've had great results using it with clients who have issues with memory, concentration, communication issues, focus, information retention. It works so great. And one day I'm going to try it out just to see what happens.
Join me. Yeah. And it's a little bit of a nervine, a little bit, acts on the nervous system and kind of helps keep you a little grounded.
How much do you take?
I take like 5 to 10 grams.
Okay.
It doesn't take a lot for me.
Okay. I think that's one of the things that stopped me from trying is I feel like it looks like it needs a higher dose, but
no. And I'm interesting because I can start noticing things at pretty low doses, but I also need high doses for certain things. I'm not like hypersensitive, but I'm like pretty tuned in. And so like I noticed a shift at that. But yeah, everyone's a bit different.
okay. I think we've given some people some good information. So y'all all have a shopping list now to get your herbal medicine cabinet together.
Yeah. Yep. I think this is a really good. There's so many like honorable mentions we didn't do, but like this, I think there's so much good stuff here that if you're dabbling, if you're interested, if you are just dipping your toes in, like there's so many things you could pick and choose and try, and yeah, you're gonna be set.
I will make just a couple of mentions, and I want to be really clear that when we put this together, we were thinking about the things that we use for the ailments that crop up in our lives, right? Of course, it won't be an episode if I don't say the word turmeric or ashwagandha or ginseng, which are all on my herb shelf, all in canisters, things that I never don't have around the house. But, ashwagandha got its own episode. Turmeric deserves its own episode. And I think ginseng does too. So we'll get to that.
Yeah. Yep. I was thinking we were preparing for this episode. Our podcast is Herbalism Uncensored, and we're herbalists. And if you listen to our episodes, like we do talk about a variety of things, and it's not always herb focused. And I think it's so interesting how herbalism is this like intersection of all the things, right? Like it's not just about the plants, it's about the food you're eating and the lifestyle you're living and your meditation and your breath work, and all these pieces have to come together to create health. But in my head, like herbs are the epicenter. Herbs are in the middle. They are like the most important foundational piece, and all the other things work so much more coherently together. And I just wanted to say that like herbs are so fucking cool.
They really are. And well, I mean, they are the most potent, the most effective when they're used properly. I think we say that all the time. And I'm going to disagree with you because I think the epicenter is the awareness, is individual awareness of how do I feel right now? How do I feel when I do A, B, or C? How do I feel when I put A, B, or C in my body? And that's how we know what it is our body needs. And my body needs herbs.
My body needs herbs. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think it's hard for certain people to start garnering that awareness, and herbs always give you an entry point. But I will 100% agree that like awareness is the foundational key to all of it. Like the entire like blueprint to living life is like awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I had so much fun doing this episode with you.
Me too.
So I hope everybody enjoyed listening. And if there's something that you're thinking about putting in your herbal medicine cabinet and you want to know if it's worth it or you want to know some more about it, reach out to us. If you want to know where we get some of these things and you're not sure, feel free to ask. We're here. We're available. You know where to find us. And we'll see y'all in a couple of weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
If you're interested in Alicia and Lila's offerings, coaching programs, or other exciting events, please check out our websites, thelivingwellnesslounge.com and holisticallycorrect.com.